Right now we're going to go to line 4 and speak to Denise. Denise, thanks very much for your patience.
Hi, glad to be on.
Good to have you. What's up?
Wanted to actually call from Happy Valley Goose Base. I just wanted to talk. I know Jim Learning spoke this morning regarding the evaluating governance in Labrador meeting that's happening at the Friendship Centre at 7 o'clock tonight.
Right.
I've been asked to help facilitate that discussion, so I just felt, compelled to reach out and be a part of the conversation.
Sure. A lot of people talking about this, and it's not the first time it's come up. Obviously, people have for years been discussing the, frustration on the part of Labradorians that they're not getting a fair say, they're not getting a fair shake. They feel sort of powerless because of the numbers there, etc. And so it's not surprising that it comes to a head again. Where do you think people's hearts and minds are at the moment?
Well, I think for me, I've heard this conversation around supper time tables ever since I was a little girl, and certainly I know that, my mother, speaking to her, that she's heard it around her table. I think since Confederation, it's been a question of how does this work out as being sort of a combined place. So I think the biggest thing for me is that it's time for Labradorians to ask Labradorians. It's time for us to speak up and start talking with each other in a way that's more effective than just around the supper time tables. I think that we need to give people opportunity to just explore their own solutions on taking action and what that will actually look like. So I think that, we see consultations and things like that happen all the time. We don't know that we really effectively get heard. So it's time for us, if we're not going to be asked, then it's time for us to ask ourselves what we're going to do and take responsibility. This is not all about wanting to, get a fair shake, as you say, or feeling like we've, certainly the colonization, we feel that. We feel, myself as an Aboriginal, there's lots of elements to that piece as well of feeling like that there's been an imbalance created, and I'd like to see Labrador find its way to unify, and that we decide where we go to with things and how things are going to start to look around our territory. Because right now it sort of feels like we get asked, but I don't know that I can effectively feel that we get heard. So it's time for us then to start talking to each other.
I'm wondering if you ask people in different regions of the province if you would not get the same feeling from most people that they get asked but not heard. I think that's perhaps fairly common.
I absolutely agree with you there. I worked in rural and remote of both sides of Newfoundland as well as Labrador for a good part of my life. Mm-hmm. And when I see how the small communities are losing their capacity, I believe that a lot of us are feeling that, no matter if we identify as Newfoundlanders or as Labradorians, of feeling, are we truly effectively getting heard, and are our resources being used in the best reference to those small communities and to those smaller populations. Feeling like a marginalized population is never a good place to be, and you don't ever feel like there's a way that you can come up out of that. So I think, and Jim said it really well this morning, about taking responsibility for ourselves and for our territory. I think it goes beyond governance. I look at the environment, I look at our culture and our traditions, I look at our lifestyle and what we believe to be the Labrador way of living, and us taking responsibility that if we want to maintain that, if we want to see that is preserved and protected, then we're going to have to take greater efforts to get more fully engaged and involved. I always say that part of the Labrador culture and lifestyle has been our strength and adaptability. And 100 and 200 and however many years ago when we first were on these lands and our ancestors, it was that adaptiveness that allowed them to survive here and love it here and make families here. And I feel like our adaptability now has been sort of used against us, and we almost adapted to the point that we've adapted ourselves right out of our own lifestyle, and now we're into of having to look at seasonal work as fly in and fly out. We don't have those traditional incomes happening the way that they used to happen. We aren't encouraged to look at ecotourism and how can we build self-sustaining projects on our own lands. Now we seem to be in a place where it's only come back to Labrador if we give you a reason to come back to Labrador. There's only employment opportunities and giant projects that will have long-term consequences to the very lands that we want to maintain and call home. So it's really about how do we start to get back our autonomy, and how do we start to believe in ourselves again, that we not only have the right to stand up and say what's best for Labrador, but it's our responsibility to ensure that it happens, because I go with the saying of, we don't borrow these lands from our ancestors, or we don't get them from our ancestors, we borrow them from our children. And that's my concern. I feel like nobody is thinking about the next generations. I'm taught to believe in the next 7 generations, and you plan things accordingly. When I look at what's happening in Labrador right now, we have people looking to line up for work for 2 years, and then it's back on the employment lines. It's back to where we have to beg again. It's back to where we'll have to move away. So I want to see us start looking at strategically planning for ourselves, looking at co-ops, looking at starting up our own companies. You know, we can have development, but let's do it in a smart, long-lasting way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're going about it the right way in terms of engaging people, getting them more involved in the process and speaking out what's on their minds. I think that is absolutely critical and the only way forward, really, in a healthy way. The terms you're using, responsibility and adaptability, all are assets, I think, if used properly. And I congratulate you for embarking on this process. Certainly we'll be interested in speaking to you regularly as this rolls along. You've got this meeting tonight. Do you want to give the place and time again?
Absolutely. It's going to be 7 o'clock this evening, and this will be on Monday at the Labrador Friendship Center in their multi-purpose room. And I just want to take that moment also to commend, when I look at elders like Jim Learning and then many other who, for different reasons over the years, have stood up strongly for Labrador. That's been, like you said, we've come back around to this circle many times. For myself, I'm 38 years old. I want to challenge my generation. We've watched our elders bleed and fight long enough for us. It's time for us to stand up, and it's time for us to say, we're going to look out for the next generations, and we're also going to look out for our elders, because when I see what Mr. Learning has to go through in order to stand up and be a voice, to be heard and to be respected, you shouldn't have to get 7 charges against you to do that. So our generation really needs to pick it up, stop waiting for someone to offer us a job, and start realizing that we are skilled and we are intelligent, and people all over this world want to work with us. So let's get to work. So yeah, thank you for letting me have that opportunity to share that. We'll certainly keep you in the loop, because like I said, a lot of, my dad's family's on the east coast of the island, and I certainly, I know what they're feeling over there, and when I connect with People's Assembly of Newfoundland and Labrador and I see what they're doing there, it's, a lot of us are feeling the same way. So this is not about wanting to create enemies. It's really about truly collaborating in a way that's effective for where we live.
Denise, you've expressed your perspective with power and eloquence, and I really thank you for it.
Oh, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great day. Happy Labrador Flag Day, by the way.
Indeed. Thanks again. Hello.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I thought she said that extremely well.